Hey, Buckeye fans! Ohio sports fans, this is Brian Oberst, aka Obi, with the Obi Sports Talk Show. We are breaking down the Big Ten championship between Ohio State and Northwestern. It was not a pretty first half, let's just be honest. Ohio State was down 10-6 at halftime and responded for 16 points the second half, and Northwestern was able to get nothing. Let's just break it down. We won 22-10, only a 12-point win. We were favored to win by 20, and we failed to do that. Justin Fields did not have a very good game. He was 12 of 27, 114 yards, and 2 interceptions. And he just looked out of sorts. Was it because there was no Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson couldn't get free, and he didn't have a lot of trust in his other wide receivers? I mean, Fleming had a couple drops. Didn't really utilize the tight ends, and maybe this would have been a good game to utilize your tight ends a little bit, get them involved. What Jameson Williams, the other wide receiver who got out there, looked lost in a couple of running like routes. They didn't know routes. It's interesting, you talk about, maybe sometimes you need more offensive explosiveness, and Chris Olave was unable to play. Let's hope he can play in whatever game we play next, whether it be the college football playoff, and we'll get more into that in a little bit here as we try to do a preview breakdown of that. But yeah, they got the win, and you're thinking, well, how do we pull this game out when Fields was 12 of 27? Well, Trace Thurman, 29 carries, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he broke the rushing record for most rushing yards in a game that was set back by Heisman candidate, well, not candidate, he was the winner, Heisman winner, Eddie George in 1995. So you got to look all the way back to 1995 when a running back rushed for 315 yards, about 315, 320 is what Eddie George rushed for. And Trace Sermon carries it 29 times for 331 yards. He was just a man on a mission, showing that speed that he had when he was at Oklahoma. And it was like a coming out party for him, and they relied on the legs of Trace Sermon. Master Teague had 2 carries for 23, and Maya Williams came in and got 1 for 10. Fields 12 carries, 35 yards. And receiving core, Garrett Wilson 4 for 49. Fleming 453, and then not much else after that. But it was really, I think really where it happened was the defense really, really stepped up. Northwestern got the ball to start the third quarter and marched it down the field, and Justin Hilliard made a great interception in the end zone to kill a drive that would have probably put Northwestern in the driver's seat with being up 17-6. But he made a great play, he made a great pick. And he comes back later and he gets a fumble recovery after, I believe it was Warner that jarred it loose from the quarterback for Peyton Ramsey. Northwestern's offense really had some good stuff going, especially early on. Ramsey was 24 of 37, 224. He also had 2 picks. And Proctor probably should have had 2 interceptions, but had a big pick in the second to kill the second half to stop a drive for Northwestern. They were moving the ball a little bit. Cam Porter was 16 of 61 for a touchdown on the ground, and Ramsey ran the ball for 9 for 24. And I'm not going to try to say his name. Ryan Chikahoyi had 8 catches for 103 yards. Was the big receiver as he caught a lot of passes. Like I said, Ramsey fumbled, and we had 3 sacks on the day. And they had 3 sacks, so that was pretty evenly. But Hilliard had himself a game. He had 5 solo tackles, 9 total. He had an interception and a fumble recovery. So they did a really good job, and Virgin and Gallagher led the way from them. And Williamson was the other guy that stepped up for us. But the other play that we overlooked was Ransom, who on a 4th down play kind of stopped and helped us run out the clock. Made a nice play on the receiver trying to make the catch and jarred the ball loose. So there was that. That was very nice to see. No kick returns, no punt returns. In fact, they actually didn't even. They punted 4 times. I guess I just realized that they did punt. Kicking game, Blake Cabio was 3 or 4 for 43 for 75% on the field goals. So he did miss one, and that was kind of costly. That would have helped a little bit and killed momentum on that drive. Hoover came in and punted for the Buckeyes today, and he had 3 punts of 118 yards and 2 inside the 20-yard line. So he stepped in nicely for our All-American Drew Chrisman. So just going back to this game, just breaking this game down. Yeah, offensively today we really struggle, especially in the passing game, and we have to figure something out because if Olave is not able to go, we have to figure out figure it out. He has to figure out who's some other guys he can trust, put his faith and trust into to help him get this offense going, because you're probably not going to be able to gash again for 331 yards by one running back. But maybe that was what Teague needed, a coming out part like that. Maybe he can keep rolling, and we can rely on the running game a little bit, go old school football. And maybe that's how we win a national championship if we're put in that position because of our running game, because we were able to control the clock and move down the field just like that. But once you get in the red zone, you have to be able to punch it in. And we kind of failed a little bit today. Red zone offense was kind of lacking. We did throw an interception. But that was also a great play by their defensive back, Joseph. It was really nice reception and catch for the score. So that was pretty impressive on that part. Now, talking about whether or not teams that should be in. Well, currently right now, Alabama is up 14-7. First quarter, so there's still plenty of time, and Alabama's got time to roll a little bit. But Alabama's in whether they lose or not, because they're not going to fall from one all the way down out. There's just not going to happen. Clemson and Notre Dame. Clemson upset. Well, not really upset. They dominated Notre Dame like 34 to 7 or something like that, 31 to 10 or something. I don't know, something crazy. They really dominated them. So Clemson and Notre Dame are both in. It really comes down to, are they going to put 6 wins in for Ohio State, win the Big Ten, and did they do it? Are they still in? And I think they were. I think they are still in. They went undefeated in a COVID year. I think you got to put them in. And then it becomes about seeding. Assuming Alabama wins, they are number 1. The question is 2, 3, and 4. If it's still going to be your 4 teams that are in as Ohio State, Clemson, and Notre Dame, where do you put them? Do you have Clemson and Notre Dame play again for the 3rd time this season? Have them 2 and 3, and have Ohio State 4, or do you try to flip flop one of them? You put Clemson at 2, and move Notre Dame to 3, move Notre Dame to 4 after that loss. So if they can go for 2 to 4, and Ohio State go from 4 to 3. So that'd be interesting how they want to play it, who they want for the first round matchup. It comes down to that. It's unfortunate that Texas A&M, who had a great season, is going to come up on the short end of the stick. It's probably stay at number 5 even after their win against Texas A&M. Your one loss is to Alabama, and you don't really have any other. You don't have any good quality wins on your schedule that so because the college teams you beat really didn't have that good a record, so that may come back to haunt them, like they were just saying. That's 14-10 Alabama on the top of the first quarter. So that's what that's all I got to say about any of that stuff. I broke it down a little bit, broke it down to the Ohio State Northwestern game. It was good to see the Buckeyes win. They got their 4th Big Ten championship in a row, and they defeated Northwestern, who had a very good season, and hats off to them going 6-2 on the season, in a season where last year they went 3-9 to bounce back and go 6-2. So hats off to them. Hats off to the Buckeyes for finding a way to get the job done. And Trey Sermon, the man who had 29 carries, 331 yards, your new single game rusher leader on the stats lines with 331 yards, breaking Eddie George's record. That record stood since 1995, like we said. So great job by Trey Sermon today, and showing why we recruited him when he wanted to graduate, transfer into Ohio State. Been nice to see him do a little bit more throughout the season. That we kind of got a little hosed on not having for all the time. But maybe we got him for 2 more games, and he can find a way to lead us to a national championship game, along with Fields, who's going to bounce back. Fields had a couple rough games. Maybe his rough games are behind him. and we can move forward from here and find a way to win and get back to the drawing board, stay COVID free, get all the guys back that were be out. Hopefully they're all back, and we can find a way to get it done, get in the playoff and get a national championship and surprise everybody, and surprise Clemson or Notre Dame where we play, and surprise Alabama if we play them. So let's just see what happens. So go Buckeyes as always, and thank you for listening. Feel free to leave your comments, share with your friends. Yeah, let's discuss this. Where do you see the college football playoff? What 4 teams do you think are in? Who do you think's in? And where do you think the matchups might be? Let's try to touch on this a little bit before it comes out. So if you get this video tonight, you want to weigh in, please weigh in. If you want to weigh in afterwards and discuss where you think it's, if you tune in later and you want to discuss the committee, if you look tomorrow and you see what the committee decided, let's break it down and talk about it, and we'll go from there. We'll see where we are, which team we are talking about next in the weeks to come, in the days to come. Actually, tomorrow, actually. So have a great night. And as always, thanks for watching. This is Brian Oberst, a.k.a. Obi, with the Obi Sports Talk Show. Have a great night, y'all. Love you all.